Yeah, it started.
You can take over and start.
All right. So, hello to everybody in the wonderful Dynamics 365 and Power Platform community, and here at the 365 Jams. Namaste to everybody from my end, and along with me for organizing today's Shalini. And welcome to all the leads, to the speaker as well. We're gonna introduce the speaker shortly. Today we are assembled here for the Kolkata chapter. This is our second meetup for March. Last time around, we were celebrating inclusivity and we were having the youngest Power Platform certified professional in the world. This time around, we have a very interesting topic again. We have customer voice and integration with Omnichannel and marketing in the Kolkata chapter meetup this time around on 27th of March, which will be hosted by Karan. And a brief history about Chance in terms of timeline. If you're attending for the first time, we always do that. We like to share this information along with everybody. Pardon me for my voice. I've had a sore throat. I'm not going to speak as much, and I'm going to move over to Shalini very, very quickly. But we started somewhere around 2018. We realized the need of a global but local community. That's what I call it. And then in 2019, there were 10 leads from all over. And first chapter being in Singapore, thereafter moving into a lot of areas. And we have now contributors, organizers, masters, superstar champ award winners, and of course, champs participating to just share information across from different parts of the world, including Singapore, India, UK, Philippines, Germany, US, Australia, New Zealand region, South Africa, and many more, to just name a few. We started doing a lot of meetups, and that's the part of the initiative we are in right now. We do Power Platform meetups every alternative Saturday, more or less. So that's a brief history of our timeline, and then it's over to you, Helene.
You can connect with us on our social media accounts. We are there on LinkedIn, Twitter. You can scan the QR code and you can join the other 860 members on Khosala. And we have our portal up and running, so go and register there. Also, if you want to speak at the Power Platform meetup, you can contact either me or any one of the organizers, or you can straight away go and fill the form. So the quick updates in the news for the Dynamics 365 community. Microsoft announced a lot of Dynamics 365 capabilities at the Ignite event, which includes a lot of public preview for the AI-powered real-time customer experience. There are more integrations between Dynamics 365 and the other company's major products. You have new serving abilities with customer voice and new customer engagement abilities for Dynamics 365 field service, which will be available from April 1. As I said, our portal is up and running, so do go and register there. And if you want to see the event videos, you can refer to our YouTube channel. So thanks to our sponsors, Dynamicity, who are always happy to sponsor our events. And yes, we are there on our Power Platform meetup. Karan Khosala today is speaking on customer voice and integration with Omnichannel and marketing for the Kolkata chapter. So just a quick question for the audience. Does anyone recognize this image, this an important landmark in Kolkata? You can post it in the chat window if you do recognize which monument is.
Shalini,
Yeah.
sorry to break you, but there's a big lag between your voice and the screen. So we don't know whether you are on the image because we are now seeing the slide, right?
Okay. So yes, if any one of you do recognize this building or monument, so you can just ping in the chat. And yes, now we have Karan Khosala, who writes very different blogs and is very active while blogging. He writes different types of blogs, and he's from Accenture. So yes, Karan, over to you. I'll give has just stopped presenting, and you can present.
All right. So yeah, thank you so much, Shani. Thank you so much, Deepesh. Thank you so much for this platform. The platform is really helpful, and it's been a pleasure to come over here and give it getting a chance to talk over here. So today's topic is going to be about customer voice, and I'll just start sharing my PPT. So it's a second. Let me know when you can see my PPT.
We are able to see, Karan. We are good to go.
All right. Okay. So customer voice, this is all that we'll be going about today. It's going to be customer voice with integration with omnichannel and marketing. Now, customer voice is a survey tool. it's more than a survey tool, and we'll be actually talking about various things that are integrated with this survey tool and how we're going to be using it in almost all our applications. So we'll be going with omnichannel and marketing first because it's something that I feel personally that you can make a lot of use of it just to reach out to your customers and make them fill surveys. So I would encourage everyone to if they can ask questions, that would be great. And if we can try to come up with a user story at the end of the meeting and work on it as a team, that would be even more like awesome, because then we would have everybody working on one unique, strange way of how to use a building block and make a building. All right, so we'll be going with this is a list of things that we'll be going through today. It's going to be customer voice surveys because I actually want to talk about it on how you can use it on an entity level and how the data is stored inside tables. The reason that I want to actually take this up is this is the building block for everything, and even in like the later places that you'll be using it, you'll be using it over multiple um, yeah, you'll be using it basically at the end of the day with all these entities and the fields that are associated with them. Using it with a Dataverse environment, that's another place that is important, and how we're going to be using it. And how to use the customer voice survey in a portal, inline or a pop-up. Now, we will also be taking it up on a website and try to put it up on something that is not a Microsoft platform. So let's try to even see if that works. And then let's see how to use variables. Now, this is where we are a little different from all the other products that are available all out there. You don't have variables in most of the survey tools that you have. So this plays like one of the USPs for customer voice. Using it then in marketing and omnichannel. Finally, we'll be talking about something called alerts and a few caveats and their workarounds that we have actually like faced. So like I've faced this in real life and how I was able to actually make a change and try to fix things up so that I can get what I wanted it to do. So let's begin. So before I start, I'll be even talking about myself. Um, all right. So I graduated in the year of 2018 in the stream of computer science. I literally had zero interest in IT to begin with. I always had a fascination towards business and how to make businesses flourish. I started my career with Infosys, and I thank my stars each day that I got a chance to work with Dynamics 365. So like everybody else, they were like, yeah, you're going to enter into Java, C Sharp, and you're going to go into coding. So I went into Dynamics 365, not too sure of what I was going to be going into, but then I just loved it. So ever since that day, I was actually really happy that I was able to use business tools to help businesses grow. So that's something that I always wanted to do, and using it with the IT experience that I had from college definitely played to an like an easier way to understand how to use low code, no code, and how to use building blocks to make a building. So I'm going to be using that a lot. So like bear with me with that. Every morning I wake up and I say three things to myself. The first thing that I say is I need to make businesses more efficient. Need to automate anything that can be automated, because if something can be automated, then why not just automate it? And find ways to use blocks to make a tower, the low code, no code approach. Because I feel you have blocks for everything. It's just now that you just need to make a huge tower, or you can make the Burj Khalifa. It's at the end of the day, it's the same bricks, it's the same molecules that are going to be making the same thing. So if you know how to place it right, and that's the place that I want to thank the community. Like Dynamics community has been really helpful in terms of blogs, in terms of videos. Everybody is so willing to actually share information out there, and that's why I'm here trying to do whatever bit I can do. So that's all that I'm actually here to do, because I just want to like try to help the community the way that I got help. So whatever way that I can help out, I try to write it and I try to put it up on LinkedIn articles. I've also been told to like I've got a lot of encouragement from Shalini, from Roma, from Deepesh to actually start writing a blog. And I was a little reluctant initially, to be honest. And I thought it would like take a long time to transfer all the data from LinkedIn articles onto a blog, but I actually finally did that. So my blog is up and running. It's called KK8365. We took around 4 hours to come up with this name because we wanted it to be really good. So I thank a few of my friends who had helped me out with this, and the late night conversations that we had over tea. So thank you everyone who had helped me out to come up with this term. And again, like thank you to everyone in the community to let me even perform on such a great platform. All right. So now coming to customer voice overview. So customer voice was previously called Forms Pro, and I get to see this a lot. I hear clients telling people that yeah, let's use Forms Pro or let's use Voice of Customer. So you can correct them and you can tell them that it's now called Customer Voice. It was previously called Forms Pro. The reason that they still call it Forms Pro is because they might be using Forms, which is an Office 365 product. It's a very different product, and it doesn't have the capabilities that Customer Voice has. So Customer Voice and Forms is altogether a different product altogether. So that's one thing that I would want everyone to like impart as information. And anyone is like passing out wrong information, you can just like ask them that it's now called Customer Voice, so that it can get pushed forward and they pass it on to somebody else, because that's what the community does. Customer Voice is a smart AI-driven survey tool. So it captures responses and creates visually stunning graphs. Now, in the past, I remember people coming up with Power BI dashboards for this. They were taking information from Forms Pro and coming up with their own dashboards. That is still possible, and in case if it is really needed, I would still suggest to come up with a Power BI dashboard, because that's really at the end of the day that's going to be helpful when you have like certain requirements. But for almost all the requirements that I've seen till date, you have your graphs that are already created with the product. Sorry. And customer voice creates records in the dataverse environment in the entity that is defined to hold particular records. Now, when I say that, it means like a customer voice survey is a record in the system. A customer voice survey response is another record. But also you have a customer voice survey question response. So everything is a different entity, and there are entity relationships that have been mapped to save everything in the right place. So you cannot go wrong with this. Microsoft has made it really easy to use in terms of usability, but at the background there's a lot of data and relationships that are getting connected. So everything is held properly in the right place. Now, something that is very strange, which I get to hear this again a lot. People telling me that customer voice is another license, and we don't want to buy one more license from Microsoft. So if you have a Dynamics 365 enterprise license, you're getting this product for free. So why not? Like why would you want to use another third party tool when you have a product that's for free and it's AI driven? It has everything that you want. So again, like passing this information on to somebody who would want to use, let's say, another product would be SurveyMonkey or Google Forms or any other product that they want to use for surveys, you actually have customer voice, which is free of cost. So you can use this. And yeah, I hope this is going to be interesting. And if I do get boring, please tell me that this is getting boring so I can like try to make it a little more interesting. All right, so the next one. All right, so customer voice entities. So you have the reference. I've passed on the link as well. But instead of like talking about it, we will actually like just show you where the data is stored. So I have everything stored up here, and everything is actually up and running as well. So I'll just quickly show you where the data would be stored. So if you go into your advanced find and you would search for customer voice surveys, you see that your refresh the page. While that loads, we'll come back to this. So the first thing that you would have to actually create is a project. So this is how I would normally explain this. You would have a project as a container. The container holds a survey. The survey would have a question, and also it would be connected to a response. Survey question responses are connected to the response. So it's in a very orderly way. If you actually look at it in a logical approach, it's only project that gets a little confusing, but everything else is housed. It's like concentric circles. The project is the largest circle, and then you have the survey, and inside the survey you have other records. So this is still taking some time. Let's do Control F5. All right, so we'll actually be seeing this a lot. So we can even come back to this one while this loads. Let me close this one. So the next one is the entity map. So this is what I was actually like talking about. You have your project. Your project is associated with your survey. The survey gets associated with an invitation that you'll be sending out. Now this is optional. You can actually just even skip this part. You can go to the question. The question is then correlated to a question response, which is again obvious because questions would have question responses. And finally, if you actually look at it, the survey response is again connected to your question response. Now, when you send it via invite, it gets associated with a contact or any particular activity ID that is associated with it. So you can even associate a survey with a case and also like a contact. So you get it in the timeline. That's like the main advantage is every contact who's getting a survey, you don't need to have a flip switch that says survey sent. You'll actually see it in the timeline that says it's created an activity and you don't need to worry about it. Just want to be sure, so I'll just like refresh this page and this page as well. Okay, now coming to how would you like associate your customer voice survey onto a portal or a website? Now, the reason I'm actually like talking about this is because I've not seen a lot of people use this functionality, and that disappointed me a little bit. I do see this happening with Google Forms often. I do see it with SurveyMonkey. I see it with a lot of other products. But when it comes to customer voice, I see forms getting used over there. And that's a little disappointing. So instead of that, you can actually use the tool to get a script. So now how I would do that is I would go into my survey. So first you go into your projects, you create a project. The project would be associated with an environment. So as you can see that I've created a new environment for the community presentation today. So you click on the project, create a survey. You can add pictures to your survey. You can make it like really customizable. And to add any picture or anything, you just have to like click on it once. It's a very easy approach. You can change the picture, add a picture, delete it. So lots of easy drag and drop features that are available. You can also just click on add new, and you can add new questions to your survey. I've also been told that we would be using files as a feature which is going to be coming out soon, but we are not being informed on like when, or Microsoft has not passed out any information on documents, but there have been a lot of blogs and community websites that I've been reading about this. So I've been waiting from January for this feature. So I just hope it comes out really soon. And yeah, here we are. So we have, so I was talking about customer voice projects. So you can see in this one, I would have only one project or two at the most because I've been creating a few. Yeah, two. So if I go into my project, I'll see that the information is stored in this particular entity record. And this record, if you like look at it, it just tells me who's the owner. But if I go into related, I can then go and see what surveys are associated with this project. So I can now go to my survey. So when I click on my survey, so again, like I want everyone to remember these concentric circles. So the first bigger circle was project. Then you have your survey. Your survey would be related to your other things, but I'll take responses because it's the most ideal approach to go through. And now if I click on my response, I'm able to see what was associated with the question response. So if I look into this, okay, response wasn't submitted in this case, but presentation, all right. Okay, so in this case, it didn't store it for some reason, but ideally it should be stored. So that's like a general overview of how the entity mapping would be. And now coming back to our approach of adding it to a website. So I was right here, and if I click on send, the first time that you actually come here, you'll not see resend, but you'll actually see a bunch of different options. You would see embedded as one. You can take it as an inline, you can make it as a pop-up window, or you can even make it as a button. Something that I get again like questioned a lot is when you're using Dynamics, you must have noticed that sometimes this big pop-up comes up on the screen that says, "Hey, fill in your survey." And seeing that, clients normally will ask you that I want this, like whatever it is, I want it. That looks really cool. So we can make that as a pop-up window. It's called as a pop-up window. You can use a survey. You can copy this code. So I've done this already just to be sure that that doesn't go wrong during the presentation. So I've pasted this code as a script. And the next step that Microsoft is not fast out, like again, the documentation is present out there. I won't say it's not there. It just takes a lot of time to find because you would have to like navigate through a lot of pages. Now I've made those mistakes. I've added a script and I'm like, hey, it's not working. Something is wrong. I need to do something to fix this. And then I read a blog by Megan Walker, and then she said that, yeah, you have to actually add it as a script, which was not mentioned. But you have to take this script, which is basically a JavaScript code, which is going to be waiting for you to load the page on like DOM level, and then it's going to load the page, and you're going to call the survey render, like render survey, which is actually a function. If you look closely into this here, I hope it's visible. You have function render survey, and you're passing these parameters out there. Now these parameters need to be passed out. I've been like using static code, but if you have like, if you want, you can actually use like a dynamic value of user first name, user dot first name, user dot last name, and these are just variables. So you can actually add even something that says like for student, if you're going to be using it for student, you can use first name, last name, and class and section. So you have the option of adding class and section based on the record of the user or the contact. All right, so we now so I've added the code, and you have to add this part as well. So in the website that I'm creating right now, if you actually look here, I've added another script over here for running this. So where is that? Yeah, here. So I've added a script, and I'm calling this listener, which is going to listen to what's happening on the website. And once that's done, I will be able to actually like load up a pop-up window is what I'm expecting it to do. And voila, there we go. So you see here, the variable is passed as current. And if you change it over here to anything else, it will actually pass that out because it's using the first name variable over here. So it's again dynamic value, but statically coded. And you can fill this up. And once it's filled, you can, this is basically what Microsoft normally keeps throwing at users from time to time. So you can also do that. Like if you want to actually create your own survey, you can do that on a website, and that helps a lot. All right. So the next PPT that I have, the next slide that we have is about how do you send it out with variables. Now, like I just showed it to you, that you can send out with variables when it's on a website. So you have to create a variable. So I'll just quickly show you how to even create a variable. You'll go into design, customize, you'll go into your personalization, and you can add variables over here. Variables of your choice, and later on it can be coded, or you can add these values using Power Automate and a lot of other features. Now, one feature, so since we are not going to be talking about the features on how to send surveys, rather on how to send it with marketing and omnichannel is the points that we'll be concentrating on today. I will be showing you a new feature that Microsoft has recently released. So it's previously, if you wanted to add one particular URL with data, you were not able to do so. You had to send it by Power Automate, or you had to send it via Excel or an email. You had like multiple ways, but you couldn't create a URL with particular static value. Like if I was sending it out to people who are managers, people who are students, and people who are engineers, I would have to create 3 different surveys in a project, and then the data that I would get from them, I would have to tabulate it and sit down and like combine everything to come up with proper information. So that's again where I would want to use Power BI if I was going by that approach. So instead of that, what Microsoft has now let you, like allowing us to do is you can send it by link, and it then tells you, do you want to make a custom link? So you can add your variables to this, and you can send out the link. So now if I send this to Karan, he has the data for this particular link, and the survey would open up with his information. Previously, this wasn't there. Now Microsoft has let like is allowing you to use it directly. There was a way to do this previously, and again, it was blogged in different articles, but it wasn't an easy approach. Mainly because it wasn't a tiny URL, it was actually a very long URL, and spam filters would normally filter that out and tell you that it's not acceptable to send. All right, so the next part is going to be, yeah, a hidden feature. This is again not on the documents that was there, and it was actually that you'd have to send it out in this particular format. You see, like it was at the end of the URL, you would need to append this, but now you can do this directly. So I just wanted to talk about that, and it was again passed out in blogs. Community has been really helpful. They pass out every information that's available out there. So now starting it with marketing. All right, so you have your marketing instance. Now, again, one more thing that I get to hear a lot is, why is marketing really required? Can I not use the same features with a regular sales module? Can I not use it with service module? Like, do I really need marketing? So the answer to all of these questions is yes, you do need marketing. Like, if anyone asks you that, can I make this by a regular model? Yes, you can do it with Power Automate, but the number of features that you'd get with marketing, it's better to use marketing instead of using it with Power Automate, getting the insights back, because a lot of these tools have insights associated to it. And these insights are priceless, at least when you're trying to convert a lead. So when you find a lead after a campaign or a customer journey, that plays an important role if the user was actually interested or not. So again, something I keep using as a line is, marketing is not about getting new customers. It's rather holding on to your old customers and getting new customers as well. So even if you're able to convince your old customer to buy something new from your company, that's a really good benefit for you, because you're getting a lot of other ways to publicize it that way. You're getting a customer who's going to stay with you for a longer time. All right. So to start off with using the product with marketing, you would have to go into your settings, and out here you would need to go into your second. It's in feature switches. All right. And over here, if you look into your features that you have customer voice integration. So you have to turn this on. And until you turn this on, you're not actually going to use marketing. It wouldn't work the way it's supposed to work. So this is something else that you have to keep in mind before starting your journey with marketing and customer voice. All right. Um, okay. Yeah. Now, when you send out a survey with marketing, so that's Oprah saying, you get a survey, you get a survey, everyone gets a survey. So you have, when you send out a survey with marketing, you get a little extra features. These features are really useful when you, like, I can show you a few customer journeys. Actually, we'll create a new one because I created a template again for a customer journey. And if I click on new out here, so for the demonstration, I've actually created survey template today. All right. Now you have a segment of people that you want to target. So in this case, it's like only Karan is the only person with a valid email address. But in real life scenarios, you would want to start this off with, let's say, people who have attended an event, people who have filled up a particular form, and you can actually now start it off directly from a form as well. So customer journeys have been becoming better day by day. And then you have your email. So your email, if I now go into your email over here, so I'll even just quickly go to this, and out here I've done something to add a survey. Now again, one question that I get a lot over here, and I understand why is it actually like being told, because previously in the old marketing version, you would send out a survey directly. When you had like voice of customer, I think a year or two ago, you were sending out surveys directly by adding a block in the customer journey, and you would send it out directly. But now, like with time, they have just changed the way of approaching surveys. So you have to add it out in an email. Now I wasn't very happy initially with this, but later on when I realized the value of it, I kind of understood that it is better to have your survey on an email, because people tend to reply way more when it's on an email and they get a choice to click on a survey, rather than sending it that, hey, fill this survey. If you send out something that says, thank you for visiting us and we hope that you had a great time, here's your bill and here's a survey link, someone would actually click on the survey after reading that. And if they just see the survey in the title, 99% you're not going to get a response to the survey. So Oprah would be disappointed. She'd be crying over there. All right. So we have your survey that is added over here. So if I click on edit over here, it's going to tell me that there's some journeys that I've been using with this. I'll just say yes to everything. So you see that there's a survey over here that you can add your customer voice survey, and you click on it and you have to just like add which particular survey do you want. So in this case, I've added D365 survey copy. But if I do click on the other ones that I have, it's going to give me like a list of actually the surveys that are associated with this particular environment. A question that again comes up is, if I have it on my development environment, will I find it on production? The answer is no. You need to copy it onto your production environment while creating the survey, and then you will find it over there. So making that mistake, I've made that mistake. Please don't make that mistake again. All right. And now that we have like discussed how to add the survey onto your email, you would now want this to be in your customer journey. Now, again, a mistake that took me 5 to 6 days to realize why it's not working. Initially, when the product had come up with this new interface, it took me like 5 days to realize where was I going wrong. I kept trying something and the survey never showed up on my email. I only got like emails where the button was missing. And I thought initially that it was some kind of bug, so I was not too sure of it. So I was waiting for like the latest updates, and even with the latest updates, things have never changed. So I didn't find initially blogs for this, but I think now Microsoft has come up with their own document for this, and that's really helpful. So I'll just wait for this to load, and once that loads, I can show you where I made a mistake that took 6 days, and I don't want anyone else to make that mistake, because that time can be utilized for something else and to come up with something much cooler and better. So I'll use the survey again. All right. Now the mistake that I kept making over and over again is, once you add your email, you would assume that everything is all right. You have your email out here, so okay, it's taking some time to load, I guess. Okay, perfect. So you have your email, and I was like, yeah, it says, if I zoom in, I can actually see that it says customer voice for marketing. The button is right there. So why doesn't it get added when I send it? Now the reason is, if you actually go scroll down, you see that there's something called email elements, and that's not added. And this was initially not told, so it took me some time to realize that why is it not getting added is because there's no dependency that you're adding to it. So you have to like literally call it out and say that, hey, add this particular survey to this email. And the next features that you get is you can use a condition. Now this is just an optional way. I think it's the best way according to me, but I'm sure that the community will find a better way, and I would be happy to read about it. So if somebody finds a better way to use the survey and comes up with like data that they've used and with real-time information, and they say that no, this approach is not good and a better approach is there, please do write about it. That would be really, really helpful. All right, so we have yeah, now the condition that we have put up over here is if it is yes or if it is no. So instead of email, you can actually now use survey copy, because the survey was added as an element over there. So when you add it as an element, you get this option of has been opened, has been submitted, and has been answered. These three features, um, like you can actually like read it in real time. Like even if this user has clicked on it just to open it up, and he doesn't fill it, you can actually find out about that. So that's like again one more benefit of using customer voice with your marketing tool. Alright, so we'll now send this out. So if I click on condition that says has been submitted, in my personal favorite is this, Then you would want to make a phone call. You would set up a phone call to assign it to the contact owner and tell them that, hey, make a phone call to this person and just ask them how do they feel. So let's try to even make this go live. It might take some time for this email to come. So we'll simultaneously try to work on some like the latest features and then come back to this part. Okay, so we have again a mistake that I kept doing initially was I would not change the time zone and I would send it out. So again, don't be a Karan. He makes a lot of mistakes. So it's let's call it at 1:10 p.m. and say okay, we have to go back into designer, save, and then go live. So this is how you would want to use your survey in a customer journey with marketing. And that's like the best part of using it is you get the extra features to understand if the user has opened it, has submitted it, and accordingly you can act on the particular approach. I've not got a chance to actually see it in any other way to use it. It's always been at the end where they want to take feedback. So that's like the only place that I personally have used it. All right. So now, well, that's about customer voice with the marketing application. So while we get the email, I do have my um, email for Gmail open right now, and it should be coming up in promotions. As soon as it does come up, I would get it as a survey, which is available. Actually, I do have one from yesterday, so I can just show that quickly. And it's actually the same one, the same email. So you can see that if I click over here, I'll be taken to the survey and I can fill it up. So that's just to save time that I have everything ready. And also I was not too sure if it would break while we were doing the demo because Saturdays are generally updates. So 99 at email submit. All right. Now that I've even sent this, I will be coming back to it at the end where I'll be talking about one of the major problems that we faced. So now with Omnichannel, so we have I think 20 minutes. Shalini, am I correct with that? 20 minutes is what we have.
Yes. Fine.
All right. So if anyone is bored, anyone feels that it's not interesting, you can let me know right now. All right.
Everyone is liking it. They are like in the comment box, they are just commenting. You explained it really well, and yeah,
Oh,
the page is
so there are
mentioned. Yeah.
so there are a few queries, Karan. So we would expect that we will finish in if your demo piece by another 5-10 minutes, and then we can take up queries and put up interactions. Right? So everybody's really interested. You can look at your chat window.
All right. Thank you so much. Well, that gives me a little bit of motivation. I was really scared of being boring. So let's now come to using it with Omnichannel. So now Omnichannel, again, a product that I've not seen getting used in the best way possible out there. I feel every call center, every service industry should be using Omnichannel. There's no better product than Omnichannel, in my personal preferences that I would say. So you have your pre-chat surveys. Now, pre-chat surveys, again, a question that comes up a lot is why didn't Microsoft make pre-chat surveys as customer voice surveys? The reason is that pre-chat surveys actually do a lot more than just asking you how do you like a service. It's more of asking you what kind of order do you have, or in the best way. Let's say that if I order something on Amazon first asks me some questions. Which order was this related to? Pre-chat service is basically doing that. It's not asking you how do you like our service right now. It'll rather ask you that when you're done with the chat. So that's why you would post chat surveys are always the customer voice surveys. And yeah, and why didn't you fill the survey? I do not know who you are, but I will find you. So whenever you get a survey, just remember to fill it up. Otherwise, he will find you. Okay, so again, now coming to that on Omnichannel. So I'll just show you where exactly that would be done. So I have a chat widget that's been made. So it's called Dynamics 365 Community Event. So, okay. These things actually scared me a lot because I didn't want it to load at all. So I've been trying to find ways to avoid any sort of loading or wasting of time. So you see here I've actually created one with email, single line answer type. So you can add a question for pre-chat surveys, and that's not exactly customer voice service. You'll add the post-chat survey where you can use the survey from which is associated with the channel with the environment where you have Omnichannel installed. Again, a very good question that I keep coming up against is I made a survey in the UAT environment. Everyone loved the survey, but now I don't see it in my production. Did it get deleted? No, it didn't get deleted. You just have to bring it from UAT to your production or from into development. Again, a mistake that Karan made. Don't be a Karan. Now using alerts. Now this is again not exactly a part of Omnichannel or with marketing, but it's a feature that I wanted to bring up because I've seen people using ways to actually get low response, like CSAT is low. So you'll write a flow. In general, you'll want a flow to be used that says when the survey response is below some value, you would want to use um, you'd want to send out an email to his manager or something like that. Instead of all of that, you have different ways to do this. And one of the inbuilt features is to use alerts. So now you see that I have actually created an alert already, and there would be open alerts. But to create one, if I actually open up one of the old ones, is low CSAT. So just as you put in a name, you have a satisfaction metrics that is associated with a survey and equals to a particular value. Now, if it's equal to 1, you would want to start an alert and trigger an alert that says this person has got a low CSAT. So if I go into one of the resolved ones, it says anonymous customer filled it up. Now, what would you want to do with an alert? There is nothing that you can actually do, right? Like he's already given you a bad survey, but you can call back the person when if the response was non-anonymous, you can call back the person and ask him and correct yourself at the right time. So your business is definitely going to flourish and become better. Because at the end of the day, customer voice, as the name actually says it, it's the voice of a customer that's telling you what you're doing wrong. So correct yourself at the right time so to be the best in the market. And this can be assigned to someone. So if you actually like click it on this, you can see, let me reopen this one to save time. Coming back to this, I can assign this alert to a particular manager, a particular VP. It depends, or a team lead, anything. The sky is the limit. You can assign an alert to anybody. And once that's done, you can then put notes. So reassign, you can then find one of the users. In my case, I think I'm the only one in this environment. So I'll put it as a test made by Karan to see syncing. It's another user. So if I assign it to this person, I can see that now it's his job to come back over here in the list and correct this and make notes and resolve this issue. Once he resolves it, he's going to add some notes and says that customer was not happy or customer did not know how to fill the survey. Something like that. Yeah, so that's one thing, and you don't need to create a flow for this. So again, one more advantage, saves a lot of time, saves a lot of number of API calls because you're only limited in a few licenses with flows. So keeping everything in mind, every API call would trigger a usage to your API limits. And a flow of this kind would generally take at least 5 to 6 steps minimum. All right. So caveats that I encountered and the workarounds that I've used. One is something that I'll just show it to you to explain where things could go wrong. So you remember the survey that we just filled up? So if I go into my responses, like over here, I can see that there's some respondents over here. So it says the current Gmail is filled up today, and yeah, that's basically filled up with marketing respondent is over here, but so this might not be the right survey, but in general, you would find it as marketing respondents and it wouldn't show you information over there. Now, the reason that it's showing up here is I think maybe there is a background flow that would have been published over the weekend. But if you actually wanted to check this out, so previously this was like it would come up as marketing respondents, as you can see over here. But there was a problem with this, and Microsoft did release documentation on how to save it. So if you actually go into this link, let me just copy that. So yeah, in general, it would you would need to go through a document. So I can share this link later on. What you would have to do is you would need to go into your URL and add the last part of your form ID, and you would find the response with the name over there. The reason this happens is Microsoft is storing this information from marketing. It takes some time to reflect back into your environment, and everything is again out of the box. There is no customization that is now required. I guess there must have been some kind of update, and that's why it's now showing up. But as you could see, that the response was not stored on 22nd, which was the last week update. So if that's saved, then that's great. So we then don't need to actually go on that one. Responses from Omnichannel. All right. So now Omnichannel has another set of issues with it. Now, whenever you save an Omnichannel response, yeah, so we can. So I filled up this one, I think. No, I'm not filled up this one. It was on the website. So let's go back to that website where we had Omnichannel surveys filled up over here. So if I say 1 5 email addresses.
Karan, I'm just doing a time check. We have certain queries also, so we might need some time for that also at the end.
Um, okay. So, all right. I guess I'm just almost done with all the slides. But
Okay.
so we have this over here. If I go into my responses, I would find it in. So while this loads, I even come up to this one, which was stored and saved as well over here. So since we are running out of time, I will come up to wrapping up the session. But before that, I just want to show one quick thing
No,
is,
no, don't. It's okay, Karan. Don't hurry. I'm just giving you a time check. That's all.
oh, okay. So if I go into D365 events for Omnichannel, and if I click on respondents, you see that it says Omnichannel test, and it didn't fill up the information that I wanted it to fill up. So this one problem, again, I've seen this happen a lot. And if there is a way to fix it, it's like not out of the box, but you can write a flow, and I will be uploading the like I'll share the flow with Shalini at the end of the call, so she can like upload it and or we can find a way to upload it together, like some way where we can share this information. So I've created it as a solution, and I'll send it as an unmanaged solution. So you can like put it in a test environment first and try it and make some changes. The reason that you have to actually do this is, I'll just quickly even come up with that, is the response that you have, it doesn't hold the name, but it holds something called conversation ID. Using this conversation ID, you need to map the conversation, get the customer information, and pass it out. And that way you can actually fill the survey that you want. So this is the agent to survey. So I've created a flow. And this was a major problem. This took me around like 2 weeks to actually come up with. So don't be a Karan again, please. And if you find a better way to come up with this, I'll be really happy if you could share it. But this is how I would have to go through customer voice, the survey, get the parse out the JSON value, get the conversation ID. Once it's stored up, then I can get the contacts from the conversation. Initialize the variable, store that inside customer. Then based on what is it like if the customer value is not equal to null, pass it forward. And regarding if it's regarding an incident, you would want it to go in one way. If it's not regarding an incident, because customer voice surveys are stored to particular incidents. And finally, you can you can update the record, and you can add your own fields. So that's why in the survey over here in the solution, I've even added um, a form and another field which is associated to that form. So that helps in storing the information in the record level in CDS. All right, so that's from my end. And let's quickly even come to the questions in case you have queries.
Yeah, we'll come. Shalini and I have been noting that. So, Shalini, do you want to go ahead for some queries and assist one by one as they have came?
Sure. So I'll just ask. So Vivek is asking, like, does the first name and last name is mandatory to be passed in the function? And if yes, the survey is open. So how shall we take care of this?
Okay, so you don't actually need to pass out the first name and the last name. Actually, it's I've passed out variables over there in this. I'm assuming it's over here, correct, Vivek?
Yeah, Karan, that's over there.
Right. So you can actually remove this, and if you don't put it in the definition of your when you're calling the function, then you don't need to put it over here. But if you see over here in the first script that I have, where it's defined the function, I'm using it with first name, last name, and the language that I'm being putting. But if I remove this, I don't need to add any parameter, and it would not pass out any information. Instead, but what would come up on the screen is a variable with curly braces over there. So that's so if I just like quickly save this, so I'll remove the variable right now, and let's come back to this page, and I'll just do a Control F5. Loading, I guess. Right. Quickly, yes, again. Did I remove something else from the function? But in general, you would actually, the answer would be that if you don't pass any variable to it, you don't need to add it. In fact, in the blog that I had read, there was no variable that was passed out over there. So you would not need to pass any variable over here, and it should run perfectly fine.
Okay, fine, Karan. That helps.
I can like share the blog that I had read, which saved me a lot of time. So
Sure, sure. Thank you.
Also, there was a continuing question that open means not to specific person or any team. What does open exactly mean?
um,
Yeah, so that answers Shalini. So it was
Okay.
like it's not related to a single kind of
Yeah.
individual kind of survey, right? That
Yeah.
answers. That's why.
Okay. Page, should you like to take up the next question?
Yeah. So, I'm just if you can unmute yourself, Aneet, and ask your question, that will be more easier for Karan to understand.
Yeah, hi Karan. So I was just asking that how do we migrate the surveys from one instance to another instance? Let's say I had created few surveys on my dev instance and I want to migrate those to my UAT. So do I have to create it again manually on the UAT, or are there any way to migrate it to the UAT or prod instance automatically?
so that's a really good question, Vinny. So the thing is, initially I wanted it to always be in solutions, some way that I could like pass one solution, like copy it and add it to a solution and then migrate the solution as managed or unmanaged. But when I noticed that it's not possible that way, you would have to do something called copy. So when you do a copy of a survey, you can actually decide which environment you want to pass it to. Now I have like multiple locations in the same tenant. So you can like select any of these environments and copy it. Now what happens with a copy is it creates the survey once again, but it does not take your responses. And that's something that you have to keep in mind, because if you had like, let's say one instance where you had marketing and the other instance did not have marketing, but now you want to send out that survey with marketing and accumulate all the responses, this approach would not be suitable over there. But you see that here I created a copy right now in the new environment, and yeah, 2.4 version. And if I go into my responses over here in the reports, there's nothing. But actually, that did have responses. It has like 9 responses.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And Aneet, Roma has pasted the copy docs link here in the chat window. You can utilize that also.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Ritesh. Thank you, Roma.
So
I
Roma,
think
why go ahead? Yeah, yeah, say.
I don't think we have any more questions, right?
Yeah. I was asking Roma if she could unmute herself and tell something about Karan.
Afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Shalini. So, Karan, before I go ahead and do that, how much time did it take you to prepare for this demo? If you can share with all of us.
So the honest answer or the answer which I should be like telling out, like, so the honest answer is the day that I was told about this, I started freaking out and I was like, okay, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? So every day I tried like, I created multiple different PPTs and then I was irritating Shalini and I was asking her, Shalini, does this look fine? Does this look fine? And then she would give me like pointers and she would say, yeah, you can go ahead and do this. You can go ahead and do that. She never said no to anything. She was like, yeah, do whatever you want. It's fine.
Yeah,
So,
it's actually what you want to share regarding the topic. So it's good to that way.
So I took like one week
Yeah.
at most, like 1 week, which would involve 1 hour of irritating Shalini and 1 hour of working before irritating Shalini.
He literally, I'll tell you, like he worked very hard on this every day, and like he used to, like every day used to give some input, maybe make some additions to it. So yes, I feel he has worked really hard.
So, so yeah, definitely he has worked hard. And the point to remember that I found very different was his introduction slide where he mentioned about community, how he learned from it, and the fact about Roma and Shalini both motivating him so much. So that's really very important for a community. It has involved a lot of hard work. That's why, Roma, we wanted to update you in terms of that was the intro slide. So thank you for motivating him and uh, getting him to blog as well. He writes quite some good set of blogs as well. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So don't be
So
a current blog is the series that he's doing, and it's good actually to share that view. And since he has its own blog, that's nice, Karan. I was waiting for this from very long now.
okay.
Congratulations.
All right. Great set of things we heard and talked about right now. Over to you now, Shalini, to do the last leg of our session. If you have any great feedback for Karan, it was his first session for the community. Please do share in the chat window. That will help him. Over to you, Shalini.
So it was great to have you, Karan, with us on the 365 Champs, and we hope you will continue being a part of it, and we'll have more sessions with you. So this was like really great with all the memes and how you presented it. It was really nice, and as you can see in the chat box, all of the like attendees, they just loved your content. So yes, thank you everyone for joining. This is Shani signing off for today. We'll see you in the next month for the next Power Platform meetup. Thank you. We can stop the recording now.
Thank you, everybody.